Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And I think I have a super fun tutorial for you here today. So just let me make sure I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, because something funny happened right before we started, as always. So yes, there I am. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller and move it out of my way. If you guys have any questions along the way, make sure to type them in the comments. I don't see them always right on time. There is kind of like a little bit of a delay. So if I miss your question, I'll come back and answer it. And I don't know who noticed the link that popped up, but there's a pinned link in the comments, or it should be pinned if everything worked out all right. And I've been working really hard behind the scenes for the next sketch camp. And if you want to be among the first to know, make sure to add your name to the waitlist, and the link is in the comments. Or if you comment camp, I'll come back and I'll add the link, because sometimes, funny things happen on Facebook, all those fun things. But so here is what I'm here to do today. So 2 weeks ago, I created this super cute layout. You know, those times when you have an idea in your head and you're not really sure if it's going to work out? Maybe that doesn't happen to you, but it happens to me all the time. So this is a good example of, I had something in my head. I was hoping it would turn out, and I think it turned out super cute. If you want to watch this video, you can head over to YouTube. That's probably the easiest way to find it, because like lots of the videos just get lost on my Facebook feed if you're watching on Facebook, but it is also on my YouTube channel. But I got a question after this video posted, because I talked a lot about paper piecing. And somebody said, can you talk to us a little bit more about that? And I will tell you, paper piecing is one of my absolute favorite stamping techniques. I don't know, I grew up with like in the paper doll era where, you could cut out the paper dolls and dress them up in all their different clothes. And that's kind of what paper piecing reminds me of. So I thought I would show you how I created some of these candies on this layout and talk a little bit about what exactly paper piecing is. So I'm going to now add my desk into the camera view and we can get started. So in general, if you don't know what paper piecing is, like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. It is a way to take a stamped image and add color to it with paper, i.e., where the word paper piecing comes from. So it's not like coloring, because you're kind of adding layers. Good morning. You're adding layers onto your stamped image. And so the fun thing about paper piecing in like the scrapbooking, card making world is you can make everything match exactly. So for example, this is colored with a tri-blend marker, right? So my colors are approximately the same as the paper or a close to my heart cardstock color. But when you paper piece something, you're getting an exact match. So for example, this lollipop, I had to actually feel it, is just colored with markers. The difference is when you paper piece something, because you're adding layers, you can actually feel it. So this one is colored with my tri-blend. This one is paper pieced together. This one is just one color, but if you wanted to do two colors, just like this one, This one that I added onto the layout is actually 2 different colors of cardstock. And so you get a perfect match to something, right? That's ballerina and that's jade. So it matches perfectly. So I think that one of the best examples of this is the chocolate bar. So I did do some pre-stamping here, as you see, because I wanted my stuff to dry. I wanted lots of stuff to play with. And you guys didn't necessarily need to watch me like stamp candies over and over and over again. So like I said, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer them. And let's get started. So the stamped images that I used did both all come from the 2 specials within the I Want Candy collection, which is stinking cute. And I have a really cute workshop if you haven't seen it. So if you want more information about the workshop, comment candy and I'll come back and I'll add a link to the workshop because it is very cute. And it plays up both sides of the, I like to say both sides of the personality of the collection. Close to My Heart seems to be doing that quite a bit, right? The collection has 2 personalities and you can kind of focus on one or focus on both or do a little bit of each. And so it makes things very versatile. So I do have like stamped images from the I Want Candy as well as the Irresistibles, but they both fall under the I Want Candy campaign. So like I said, I did a whole pile of stamping and I'm going to talk about that. Why I use a white base in certain instances and why I don't. So for here is an example of the chocolate bar and I'm going to paper piece it together. And we might create this card. We're just going to see how time allows, as depends on how rambly I get. But so the first thing you're going to want to do is there are obviously some images that are better to paper piece than others. So because you're going to be cutting out cardstock, you don't want something that's so minute and small that it's super hard to cut out. So I even played with the 2 things together. So I did some coloring with paper piecing. So this is an example of that. So here you can see, right, I've got all my images stamped out on White Daisy. But I'm also going to say you don't necessarily have to start with a White Daisy base. You can actually start with a colored base also. If you don't like that white border, if you wanted like a solid color around the outside, then you could go that route. Here, I'm just going to pull out my chocolate bar pieces. These are far less calories than a real chocolate bar also. Okay, so I'm going to just show you the difference between these 2 images. So this one is all colored in with markers. This one I colored in with markers, I shaded, but I paper pieced the bow so that the bow would match the periwinkle perfectly, right? So that's an example of being able to play with both things at once. Just because you paper piece something doesn't necessarily exclude using other, there it is, other techniques with it, right? So there we go. That is one thing I want to talk to you about. Okay, same thing here, right? So this one is the chocolate bar, obviously, again. I colored the chocolate bar with my tri-blend markers, but this is paper pieced together versus this side is just paper pieced. So we're gonna, like I said, do some in a second. I just wanted to show you kind of a couple of examples before I start cutting things apart. Okay, let's see what else I have on my tray. Yeah, same thing, right? This is just a single layer of paper, and then this is 2 layers of paper. Hey, Kim, thank you. The layout was super cute, and like I said, this is kind of a perfect stamp set to show you paper piecing with, because some of the you could do multiple layers, you could do less layers, you could mix and match, which is a fun example, right? Because when you're mix and matching the mediums, That's kind of fun too. Okay, so this pumpkin, right? I paper pieced the pumpkin part and I colored the stem. Okay, so let's start paper piecing now versus this one is just colored with tri-blend marker. I think you kind of get the point now. Okay, so like I said, I did stamp some images with black ink on White Daisy before, but like I said, you don't necessarily have to use White Daisy as your base. You could use colored cardstock as your beginning point also. So for example, we'll do this one. Just going to try and see if I can find something that's dramatically different. We'll mesh those three candies maybe together. And we'll do, I have some here with White Daisy. So basically what you're doing is you are taking pieces and taking it apart and putting it back together, your stamped image. So I'm going to put that over there. So like I said, the first thing you're going to want to do is stamp your image. I do tend to and stamp most paper piecing with black ink because I think that it kind of reminds me also not only of like the paper dolls, but if you think about like coloring books, right? So now we can start cutting stuff apart and start putting it back together. So you're going to want a good pair of scissors. And if you don't enjoy fussy cutting, this might not be the technique for you. That's okay. If you don't enjoy fussy cutting, but you want to try it, then I would say stick with bigger images and ones that you could mix and match, right? So if you don't enjoy fussy cutting, but you kind of want the look, then I would play around with using your tri-blend markers and paper piecing on something larger. Okay, so we're going to start with the chocolate bar. And I did it on this card, but not on here. And so I don't know if you can notice the difference, but on this one, I played with the two-tone of the espresso cardstock to give the chocolate bar like some highlights almost and shadows. So you can get the same kind of look that you can get with tri-blend markers with paper piecing because the cardstock is two-tone. So we're going to recreate this kind of look for the chocolate bar right now. And I like using this one as the example because it's a nice big image. I'm going to just zoom in maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to say you don't have to be perfect with this also. But it's got it's got some forgive space. And also you don't need, for the parts that you're paper piecing together, you don't need to stamp the whole image. If you, hey there, thank you. If you only want the chocolate bar in espresso, you don't have to stamp the whole chocolate bar, right? These, you can see they're ripped up pieces. I wanted to play with the two tones. So literally they're a scrap that could have gone in the garbage, but I saved them. So I'm going to do, let's do the reverse of this one. So I'm going to do a light chocolate bar background, and we're going to make the little like chunks that you break off your chocolate bar a little bit darker. But so the first thing I need is I actually need the piece to add here. So I'm just going to fussy cut this out. Like I said, and so I'm cutting just right on the line, and I'm going to basically adhere it down onto my base that I've created in White Daisy. And this is obviously, I picked this one to start with because it's like a pretty simple image to start with. Okay, so we have our light background. I'm just going to add it with adhesive. Of course, the first adhesive I pick up is empty. That's why I've always got more than one around, but you also know I can never find it on my desk when I'm actually looking for it. Okay, so then I'm just going to add this piece right over where it belongs on the stamped image. So already, right, it looks better than just white. And actually, I think it is typically faster than coloring, depending too on how detailed you want to get. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out these little cubes. And so this is going to end up being darker. So I'm kind of cutting right on my line. When I add this piece on top of here, it will get camouflaged by the black ink that I already have down. So fussy cutting too, right? If I'm just going to lay this here so we can remember which one I'm cutting out, because you know, sometimes I get chatting and then I forget what's going on. So this is the top one. So I can either add my glue here or onto the back of my piece, and then I'm just going to put it down. And it fits back in just like a puzzle, right? I think that's why it's such an easy technique for people to learn too, because everything kind of has a spot to go down to. So now I've already created a shadow and we've literally done nothing but cut out one piece of paper. Sorry. Okay, so same thing, right? You just trim along your black line. I'm going to do this one now. So I'm just following the line. I'm moving the paper, not my scissors. If you have to trim off a little bit more after, it's okay. So now you can also, if you wanted, right, pop these pieces up on 3D foam. And then that makes the chocolate bar even look that much more real, right? Because these little squares, I don't even know what you would call it, those squares of the chocolate bar, would be like raised, right? So you could totally add either another layer of cardstock or like thin 3D foam underneath there, and it would more mimic a real chocolate bar. So now I'm going to cut out these pieces. So you kind of are starting to see how easy it can be. And like I said, it is absolutely one of my favorite things to do, as you can tell by all the candy in front of me. I find fussy cutting relaxing. I know lots of people don't, but like you can see here, right? I've just stamped a whole pile of stuff, and sometimes I'll just sit, and if I'm watching TV, I'll trim it out or whatever. Typically though, if I'm going to piece something together, I wouldn't cut out all the parts until like I was ready to create something with it. So now I'll just cut out my last little chunk of chocolate. And as somebody said when I did this video, it's the kind of chocolate with no calories, so it's way better for you. Not probably as enjoyable to eat, but so, and obviously, like if you wanted your chocolate bar to be even a different flavor, I don't know, if you wanted it to be like a lighter brown, you could use toffee, right? All of those fun things. So see, just by doing that one little thing, and it was really quick, we have like an elevated stamped image. So here I did a couple of different things, right? So same thing about when I talked about when I cut out or when I stamped the image, I only need the bottom part of the wrapper in pink. And again, I played with the two tones of the colors. So I wanted it to look, right, like you would when you pull back a chocolate bar wrapper, it would be a different color, right? So I played with the dark on the inside, or like in the flap, and then the lighter piece. Here I played with just completely different colors. You can do whatever you would like. So this is my lighter, right? So I've just stamped on the opposite side, and this one is going to be super quick to trim out. I'm just following my lines. So one of the keys to fussy cutting is knowing your scissors, and like sharp scissors is important. Knowing your scissors too, where they cut, can also be really important. Okay, so then I just kind of inset it on my chocolate bar. And that's cute too, right? But then we're just going to step it up a little bit, and I can use this flap. Now, if I wanted to, I can actually save the rest of this to use on another chocolate bar. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I would do is I'll cut off my top, because I'm probably not going to make a pink chocolate bar. But so I'm going to cut right along my line. I'm not going to go past my triangle there. And then I'm going to come in from this side too. And just round my corner there. So now I have my lighter flap or darker flap. I can add this on my chocolate bar here. So now instantaneously I look like I have a shadow on my stamped image. So this one, I can save it, trim it out. I was going to see if I have another partially colored or cut stamped chocolate bar, but I don't. So I would just then later stamp the flap in a different color. And I could literally paper piece it right in there, right? So that's kind of what I've done here with the ballerina and the glacier, right? So you're using all of your pieces and using up scraps. How much better can it get than that, right? So I'll show you the candies. So this one is now all done. And you can see how cute it is. And then I still can do this one later. I would just have to stamp my flap. So, for example here, I did not paper piece on here any of these. But if I was going to paper piece this candy, I'll show you what I might do with it. So those little dots, I'm not going to want to cut them out and trim them. So what I might do would be, I'm going to take these two and create a candy. And then I would just, so same thing. I'm going to use the Lagoon paper. I'm going to trim around my circle. I want the white edge because I like it. I think it, like I said, I think it gives it kind of like that cartoony, not perfect look. Okay, so I'm going to add this to my white candy now, lining my piece up on top the same way, just like this. Okay, and like I said, I'm not going to cut out the dots, but I would also, like, let's have some fun with this candy, and I'm going to make the ends the green color. So this is Jade. This is one of the two new greens from Close to My Heart. I love the two new greens. So there's Jade and Limeade. They're both awesome. And don't forget, if you want to learn lots of fun things very soon, Sketch Camp is almost open. So make sure to click on the link or just comment camp and I'll come back and add the link there for you. Okay. So I'm going to make this green. Okay. And like I said, this is not ideal because I didn't actually plan this candy beforehand, but I'm going to also trim out the other side. And then for the dots, instead of paper piecing them, this is where maybe I could add some marker onto them, right? Or even metallic markers, right? So I'm just adding some, I'm going to actually add glue. I'm going to add my piece in. So let me turn around and I'm going to grab a marker. So I think I just grabbed one of my gray markers, and now I can color over top of the dots on the candy. And it gives it just one more. So this is just ice gray blend, and I just added the darkest to it, and now we have like 3 colored candy. So, and these dots in real life, they look a little bit purple. The camera probably won't pick it up, but so there's a fun way to color that candy. And then for this one, I kind of just cut them apart and put them back together. So you could do it on colored cardstock as your base, or white daisy cardstock. So let's make we'll do periwinkle. So this is periwinkle and this is glacier, right? Same thing. I'm going to use this big part as periwinkle. So I'm just trimming around the outside. I'm going to throw the little ends away because I'm not going to worry about trimming those out for another candy. If I wanted, I could stamp another one. So now I can just add this piece to the middle of my candy. And it just fits in just like that. And now I can cut my circle out and add that. And so you're going to see something neat that happens when you do this. So even though those lines go off of the middle of the candy, it's still, once you place it down, it becomes seamless on the candy. So I'm trimming on my circle. I will say this is something that, like, if you were in a hurry to create a scrapbooking page, I don't know that I would do, obviously, but it is lots of fun and just another way to play. Okay, so I'm going to add my glue on here, and now I'm going to add the circle piece, lining up the lines on the side. And so now you can see it's seamless, like it just looks like it belongs there. Same thing, you can trim out your outside edges and add them. So I'm sure everybody has a stamp in their stash that they could play with and try this technique out. You could use it, like, there's so many things you can use. You could use it on like animal stamps. You can use it on any like person stamps. Anywhere where you kind of have a nice solid transition. You could do it with flowers. Like, there's so many different, and by combining them too, by you can, where you, like here where I did part of it paper pieced and part of it with markers, that you can expand like the kind of stamp set you can use this technique for. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, because once it's down, everything kind of just fits right into place. Okay, so just, it's held on there by like a thread. So now I am going to, this goes on this side. So I'm gonna, because this is a small space, I'm gonna add my glue onto this space, not this little tiny piece of paper, right? like, and then you can add like shimmer brush on top or all of those other fun things too, right? So, and the glue just kind of gives you enough time to wiggle it right into place. So, like, look how fun. It kind of also reminds me of like comics, coloring books, those, like I said, paper dolls that I loved. So I'm just going to move my little scraps out of the way here. So I hope somebody that maybe has never pieced before is going to try it now. But like I said, it is one of my favorite things to do. I think because you can very easily make sure everything is coordinated. And I do like that. I like matchy-matchy. So I have just a little left over there. So same thing. I'm going to add my glue down here. And it just fits right in the right spot. So there we go. So then, for example, if you wanted to, you could just leave this one, right, where I said you could have it stamped on colored cardstock. So here's a periwinkle candy. Maybe I will cut out the center, or here, let's cut the, we're going to make this a crazy candy. I'm going to cut out the package in Sundance. So also you can see, right, I picked all of the coordinating colors here from the I Want Candy, and that's what I picked to stamp with, right? So everything, like I said, everything's matchy-matchy. It coordinates. It all goes together. Okay, so I'm going to add this on top of my periwinkle candy. Like I said, we're going to make a crazy candy now. Right? I can tap it down and it fits right into the spot. So let's just say something doesn't fit perfectly and you feel like the stamped line doesn't show up enough. You can go back with like your black pen. So let me make sure I'm grabbing black. So let's just say for some reason I think that that didn't match up perfectly and I want to touch up my stamp line. I would just take my black pen and either where I think it doesn't match up or the line's not quite wide enough, I can just touch it up with my black pen and nobody knows, right? So, or if you ever like miss a little bit in stamping, just fix it with your pen. Okay, so now we're going to make a green circle in the middle of this candy. Like I said, this is a crazy candy. Like one of those jawbreakers that changes colors 800 times. So I'm just trimming out my circle. Maybe we will add some 3D foam on this one. And I'll show you that, right? You can even get layers. And the nice thing about adding, when you paper piece and then add 3D foam, is you have that same color underneath. So it kind of creates a shadow under there, but you like it's not going to look not right or white or whatever underneath, right? So I just have some thin 3D foam here. I'll add it back on. And now My candy has dimension even. Now this is slightly, like I said, a little bit of a crazy candy, but that's okay. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today. Like I said, I did get, just let me fix my camera here. It was after my video where I created this layout and somebody asked the question, you talked about paper piecing in the video. Can you explain to us how to do that? So I thought, well, that's a perfect way and thing to talk about. Like I said, I had tons of fun with this layout. If you want to watch it, it's easiest to find on YouTube. And like I said, everything is coming into place for Sketch Camp. So make sure to join the wait list. You're going to want to. It is going to be called, this one's called, so I always kind of give them a name. So in May, it was called Amazing Sketch Camp, which was tons of fun. And this one is going to be Holiday Sketch Camp. So that might give you a clue what I'm gonna share with you in there. But it won't solely be holiday focused. That's just kind of the fun theme to play with. So I hope you guys all have a great day. If there's a technique that you think you would like to learn more about, or I've shown in the past that you want me to revisit, please make sure to comment or ask the question. I am trying to make content that kind of all goes together. So like I said, if you need information about Sketch Camp, you can click on the pinned link or comments camp and I'll add the link. If you are looking for my I Want Candy scrapbooking workshop, just comments candy and I'll come back and add the link to the workshop because it is super cute. It is mostly candy themed. It's just got one layout that's Halloween themed. So, and I'm pretty sure everybody can find at least enough photos for one Halloween theme. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you have an awesome day and we'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.